waiver wire winners heading into Week 17, aka the Fantasy Football Championships. I will say it's pretty thin, so some of these might be some deeper ads just depending on what you need to win. 8 catches on 11 targets for 89 yards and a touchdown for Isaiah Hodgins, 22.9 fantasy points in Week 16. Weeks 13 and 14, he saw 6 targets and scored 15-ish fantasy points. This guy might have earned a big role rest of season. Across weeks 13 through 16, Brock Purdy has been the quarterback 10 overall, averaging 17.61 fantasy points per game. 2 passing touchdowns in every game played. He did have 1 week where he was the quarterback 8. He might not win you your matchup, but I feel like he brings you stability, and he has a great matchup this week against the Raiders. Romeo Doubs returned from injury in Week 15. He caught all 5 targets for 55 yards. Then in Week 16, he saw a huge bump in his snap percentage and had 6 targets. Christian Watson is day-to-day. He might have a big role in Week 17. In Hunter Renfro's return from injury, Week 15, he was quiet, but in Week 16, he caught 4 of his 7 targets for 42 yards and scored a touchdown, 14.2 fantasy points. The Raiders play San Francisco, who is a tough matchup, but for fantasy is a decent matchup for wide receivers. These 2 guys had a good connection last year. For Rashid Shaheed, Week 7 he finished with 53 receiving yards, Week 12, 53 again, Week 13, 75, and Week 15, 95 receiving yards. 3 double-digit scoring weeks, and he saw a season-high 5 targets in Week 16. The Colts offense looks terrible right now, but if you are desperate for a running back, take a look at Zach Moss. 24 total touches in Week 15, then trailing in Week 16, it impacted the work he was going to get on the ground. He still saw 13 touches. He's the lead back. In Mike White's 2 full games, he finished as the quarterback 6 and quarterback 7 in those weeks, throwing for 315 and 369 passing yards. He is set to return this week against Seattle, who is a top 12 quarterback fantasy matchup. 25.9 and 11.5 fantasy points the last 2 weeks for Russell Gage. He saw 12 and 6 targets. 3 touchdowns across his last 3 games in total. Really nice wide receiver matchup in Week 17 versus Carolina. Might be a deeper ad, but he's been staying involved in this Bucs offense. Guys like Cam Akers, Tyler Algier, and Jahan Dotson are all trending for sleeper right now, but the roster percentages are kind of high. But take a look to see if they are available in your leagues. Jahan Dotson is rostered in 66% of sleeper leagues, but if he's available, I really like him. He's seeing targets. He's staying highly involved in this offense. He was a first-round pick investment by Washington. Touchdown upside. Love this rookie. Then for defense and special teams, the LA Chargers face the Rams after a big day versus the Colts. The Giants will face the Colts, and after watching that Monday game, enough said. Jacksonville, who has been hot the last 3 games, will face the Texans.